begin my presentation, I have a few welcome remarks from the Acting Registrar General of Uganda Registration Services Bureau, that is Mr. Serebojo. He wasn't able to be with us today, but he left a few remarks. And my duty is just to read out what he wrote, and it goes as follows. Fellow participants, I welcome you to this sensitization workshop on my behalf and on behalf of URSP, and also thank you for honoring our invitation. This workshop is intended to help you understand how to protect the works that you may create or in which you may own rights, how to get the most out of copyright and related rights, and avoid violating the copyright and neighboring rights of others. In your line of business, you or your employees are likely to create or use works that are protected by copyright or neighboring rights. In 2006, the government of Uganda enacted a new Copyright and Neighboring Rights Act to afford protection to the creators of original, literary and artistic works and provide for collective management organizations. The government of Uganda is committed under its Millennium Development Goals in the National Development Plan to eradicating poverty amongst all Ugandans. Copyright is looked at as one of the tools of economic and technological development. Copyright exists to promote incentive. By conferring monopoly on creators of artistic and literary works, you also inspire others to create. You are in the long run rewarding creators for their original works. Music is a fast-growing industry in Uganda today, and the government of Uganda is trying to boost local industries through small medium enterprises. Music is looked at as a lucrative business and has also proven to be a source of employment for the Wananchi, hence part of the policy of the nabatanzi. As you may be aware, Uganda has got various international obligations. She's a member of the World Trade Organization and a signatory to the TRIPS agreement. She's therefore mandated to avail protection for trade-related intellectual property rights, and this includes copyright and neighboring rights protection. Uganda is also trying to harmonize her operations with all the member states of the East African community, and this will include harmonizing her IP regimes with that of other countries. One initiative has been to draft the counterfeit bill. All these efforts are intended to fight piracy, not only substandard goods, but also the source of production. We therefore strongly urge you to implement policies that help avoid infringement, as litigation for copyright infringement can be an expensive and time-consuming affair. We also advise you to seek the help of URSP or competent professionals before taking any key business decisions involving copyright or neighboring acts. The regulations for the operationalization of the Act have been drafted, forwarded to the Minister of Justice, and await his approval. I therefore take this opportunity to thank you, PRS, for supporting this workshop and encourage holders of similar bundles of rights to consider interest in the administration of some or all of your rights to professional CMOs, those are collective management organizations, because they are better placed to locate potential users of your works and negotiate better royalties than individuals of their own. I wish you fruitful deliberations and look forward to receiving any recommendations that you may agree upon from this workshop. All this I have said for God and my hand, and it's signed by the Registrar General, Mr. Serebojo. So I'll move to my presentation, which is entitled Copyright as a Private Property, the Role of URSP. The updated version may be slightly different from the one on PowerPoint, but you can get the latest copy of this presentation from Mr. Wasuna. The presentation outline will go as follows. I'll begin with the law applicable. Then I'll proceed to the definition of copyright. I'll go ahead to define neighboring rights. Then we'll look at the duration of copyright, who is a rights holder, the procedure for registration of copyright, rights of a copyright owner, assignment, transfer of bequest, licensing, procedure and type of licensing, infringements, remedies, duties of a rights holder, collective management, but won't dwell be too detailed because there's another discussion for that topic. Then we'll look at the role of URSP. We'll look at challenges and where to find the registrar of copyright. So the law applicable is going to be we start with the Supreme Law of the Land, that's the 1995 Constitution of Uganda. In particular, Article 26, it gives every Ugandan a right to own property, and this right cannot be deprived except in accordance with the law. Then we have the Copyright and Neighboring Rights Act of 2006. It repealed the Copyright Act, as has already been discussed by Mr. Wasula, and it provides for the protection of literary, scientific, and artistic works together with their neighboring rights. Then we will look at the trade-related aspects of intellectual property rights, the agreement. We won't go into details, but in particular, you'll be looking at Articles 9 to 14 and Parts 3 to 5 of this agreement. So we begin with the definition of copyright. The laws that I have mentioned above, none of them defines copyright, but the Copyrights Act merely mentions what type of works are protected. And these can include books, lectures, addresses, dramatic works, musical works, audiovisual works, computer programs, drawings, paintings, handicrafts, maps, plans, sketches, literature, traditional knowledge or folklore, translations, adaptations, encyclopedia, name it. We can also have articles, pamphlets, sermons, electronic data banks, photography, engraving, illustrations, derivative works. The list is endless. But today we'll be interested in musical works because I'm told all of you are from a musical background. Is that the correct assumption? So the definition of neighboring rights. The definition of neighboring rights is also given under the Act, and it includes performers, for example, actors or musicians. It includes producers of sound recordings like cassette recordings and compact discs in their recordings. It includes broadcasting organizations in their radio and television programs. Now basically, neighboring rights, these are people who play an auxiliary role in the implementation of copyright. Now performers can include actors and musicians, and I'll give you an example, maybe Michael Jackson. When he would play his music, the music of course was protected by copyright. Now everyone remembers him from the moonwalk. When you dance to the moonwalk, everyone will know, oh, that was a style of Michael Jackson. Then when you go to broadcasting organizations, we have an example of the Nokia phone. Their ringtone, I think it's known world over. When you play the Nokia melody, everyone will know that this relates to a Nokia phone. So that's what we mean when we talk about neighboring rights. They actually played a role in the implementation of copyright. Then the following do not enjoy copyright protection. We have ideas, concepts, methods, and other things of a similar nature. For you to enjoy copyright, you must have expressed your idea in material form. We also have acts like statutes and decrees, statutory instruments, court decisions, orders. We have reports from committees of inquiry appointed by the government or its agency, and the news that has been communicated to the public. And the rationale for this is that all the aforementioned are believed to benefit the public and not just the individual. The duration of copyright is given, and when we talk about duration, I'll later on discuss economic and moral rights. Now, the economic rights have a time frame. The moral rights exist in perpetuity. Regardless of the demise of the author, the moral rights remain. Now, copyright extends to the duration of the life of the author and 50 years after his demise. So throughout your existence, you enjoy copyright if you've created works that I've mentioned before, and 50 years after your death, your heirs or successors can be able to benefit from your works. We'll look at a rights holder. Who is a rights holder? The term can be used to describe the owners of the works that are protected by copyright and their heirs or successors. Rights holders hold the exclusive right to use or authorize others to use their work on agreed terms, provided that work is original and has been reduced to material form. Now, there's usually some confusion when it comes to authorship and ownership. The author refers to the person who created the works, but the owner is usually the person who holds the right in that work. For example, I'll give you an example of journalists. Journalists usually create works, but under the Copyrights Act, the work that has been created in the course of your employment, the right vests in the employer. Are we together so far? Then, to gain copyright protection, the work has to be original. It must be dependent on the individual efforts of the author. Then we go to who can register. The author or co-authors of any work are the first owners of the copyright and can register it. So whoever authors work is presumed to be given preference when it comes to registration. However, there are some exceptions, like the case of the journalists that are given, where the author is employed by another person or body to make that work. The copyright in respect of that work shall vest in the employer who will register it. Then where the government has also commissioned an author to create work, the copyright will vest in the government or the body unless there is a written agreement to the contrary. Then when